Because of the significant implied volatility and extremely bullish options positioning, Nvidia faces a mechanically adverse setup following earnings. After results, implied volatility is predicted to drop from about 60% to about 30%, which would significantly lower call and put premiums regardless of the earnings outcome. For most call options to be profitable, Nvidia shares need to clear $200 after earnings. However, this is unlikely due to gamma resistance and market maker hedging flows. Liquidation of call positions and negative gamma below $190 could push shares toward crucial support near $170 if Nvidia is unable to rise over $200. Results from Nvidia are expected to be released on February 25th after trade closes. The corporation is expected to report fiscal fourth quarter 2026 earnings that increased by 71.4% to $1.53 per share, based on 67.5% growth in revenue to $65.9 billion, according to analysts. For the fiscal first quarter of 2027, analysts predict revenue guidance of $71.7 billion, which would result in earnings of $1.67 per share. Most likely, none of that will matter. Too bullish to be good. The majority of investors will question whether the company's performance was satisfactory. The way the market is positioned before the outcome is what will truly count. When results are announced and implied volatility declines, the stock will suffer from the extremely strong stance as of the close on February 20th. The 1 week at the money implied volatility is approximately 55% and is expected to grow further into February 25th earnings. Historically, it has been closer to 60%, if not more. Implied volatility will then drop precipitously, possibly by half, following the publication of earnings, which may put it back in the 30% range. That poses a significant issue for the stock. The premiums for both calls and puts will drop sharply as implied volatility starts to decrease. The premium for a $190 call that expires on February 27th will drop from almost $6 per contract to about $3 per contract. This implies that in order for a buyer of the $190 calls to begin making money, the price must increase over $196. Even if the stock increases after the firm reports, IV may drop and be insufficient to pay for the call option. Therefore, even if the company beats and raises, as it usually does, if the shares cannot rise above $196 a share, the calls at $190 become possible candidates to sell once the company reports results. Additionally, since they will be nearly worthless, all options trading above the $195 strike price become candidates for sale. The data indicates that the $195 and $200 strike prices account for the majority of open interest in the calls. Since the $200 calls are worth roughly $2 per contract, the stock must rise over $200 in order for the calls to begin making money. The issue is that, assuming the market implied move is accurate, the stock may only reach $200 because of its post-earnings implied move of roughly 5.3%. The other problem is that the stock is in positive gamma, which may be avoided by market makers' hedging flows. The gamma profile indicates that $200 is the level with the highest gamma, which can serve as a resistance level and make it difficult for the stock to move over $200 after the results. Market makers will be selling the stock as it rises. Since their premium is currently about $5 and they will need to clear $200 in order to begin making a profit, that could be an issue even for the $195 calls. This implies that a large number of call options will probably be liquidated if the stock is unable to clear $200 per share. Market makers will be overhedged at those levels and will have to unwind their hedges, which will put more pressure on the stock if the calls for expiration on February 27th at $195 and $200 begin to be sold. The same guidelines apply to options, but the data indicates that, unless Nvidia shares decline before the results, put gamma and put delta positioning are insignificant enough to influence the post-earnings move. As a result, it is more possible that the stock will sell off on Thursday, February 26th, or Friday, February 27th, if it is unable to clear $200 per share after the results, or even around $210. Join our investor community. Hit subscribe and like to get your daily Nvidia stock insights and tutorials delivered. It also implies that playing the calls is likely to be a losing bet and should be avoided unless the company can beat and raise in a way that investors aren't expecting, and that is already priced in. Crucial assistance. Another problem is that the stock enters a negative gamma regime below $190, as indicated by the gamma positioning. This implies that market maker hedging flows will increase selling pressure and that the stock may not find support until $170, which is where the put walls and the majority of negative resumes are currently located. If the stock is unable to get above $200, that is one probable direction it could go after results. It won't matter, even though most people will be preoccupied with whether the outcomes exceeded their expectations and whether the business will sell enough Blackwell and Rubin chips to generate income. What matters is that options stance is extremely optimistic, and the setup is not conducive to the shares increasing after results unless the company has a secret weapon. It is nothing more than a mechanical setup. Ahead of its next earnings release, I continue to believe that Nvidia is a buy. The market is extremely sensitive, and Nvidia's steady outperformance and quick earnings growth have raised expectations. Given the prevalent expectation to consistently outperform the consensus by significant margins, the market may not be satisfied even with substantial earnings beats. Nvidia has produced a gain of around 280% over the past 2 years, despite earnings volatility, which is indicative of remarkable growth in both revenue and EBITDA. Profit margins and the story surrounding Blackwell's deployment will be keenly monitored by me. My coverage of Nvidia is brief because I began covering the stock in July and have primarily covered it through funds that provide exposure to Nvidia, such as the YieldMax NVDA ETF. Until today, I had kept my buy rating in place. Since my initial recommendation, it has increased by almost 10%, but the S&P 500 has also increased. My rating history is as follows. There were a few topics mentioned in that discussion that I believe need taking up directly with Nvidia, particularly in light of the company's upcoming earnings release on the 25th. Here, I'll concentrate on just one. In reference to Nvidia's profits, my colleague stated on the podcast, the market appears anxious, as in both excited and concerned at the same time. I just produced the preview and dissected Nvidia's earnings today. It appears that Nvidia's actions are irrelevant. The market won't be as pleased since, in my opinion, the company has exceeded expectations so frequently that, at this point, everyone expects everything to be better than expected. The issue, though, is that this statement can go on forever, isn't it? What exceeds expectations? I doubt the market will be pleased if Nvidia delivers instead of $65 billion or $70 billion, as Nvidia often beats by $3 to $4 billion. Even with the beat, I firmly believe that the stock could drop in response to earnings. I kept returning to the statement that exceeding expectations might be harmful to sentiment as I started to create this film, which is my analysis of Nvidia's earnings. One of the main drivers of earnings calls is sentiment. Shifts in mood generate volume, which in turn causes volatility. It can swiftly spiral out of control. Based on the previous 2 years, this is not a new issue for Nvidia. We can observe that they sell off just as much when earnings projections and actual results match or surpass them. In one of my videos, several commenters have stated that Nvidia's profits decline is a joke. It is related to these high standards. Even while the overall trajectory is still upward, positive news frequently results in pain because the market isn't always impressed by beats. Even if Nvidia's stock rarely increased right after earnings, the 2-year gain is still almost 280%. For a company this size, that is pure madness. But the same is true for revenue growth and earnings, which is why the market feels this way about Nvidia. The market has extremely high expectations when your EBITDA looks like this, and many traders are unsure of what that actually means. One of my previous headlines, "No earnings call would have been good enough," will be understood by those who think the meme is real. As previously demonstrated, the Wall Street expectation for Nvidia's Q4 sales is close to $70 billion. According to corporate projections, gross margins are approximately 74%, and the headline is $65 billion. The Wall Street estimate is significantly higher than the EPS guidance, which stands at about $1.50, increasing 71% year over year. One of the things I think the market cares about with Nvidia is margin improvement, and the last quarter's gross margin reading was a touch below target. Despite the high absolute level of this figure, I keep a tight eye on it. Although I can't tell if I have my blinders on or if this is how I believe it looks, the market appears to react to changes in it. However, if you overlay a macro lens on this chart, you might not see what I see. Add that to my continued advocacy of profitability theory, which is the term I've given to the idea that profitability and index valuations are related. This class of companies, which have established extremely high profit margins and generate enormous growth in free cash flow, is led by Nvidia. With expectations of $25 billion for this quarter, Nvidia achieved $22 billion in FCF last quarter, up 998% YoY. This is implausible, but if they overreach, as Mr. Market has previously stated, it might set a new all-time high. Returning to margins, I anticipate that the results calls commentary will be important in this case, since investors want to know that Blackwell chip sales are maintaining their profits as production increases. These are a few of the more recent chips that are being offered for sale as part of cyclical transactions that some investors find dubious. Given that it is still early in the production cycle, Rubin may be a touchy subject because it has been expensive and has yielded little benefit thus far. Nvidia invests much in research and development, particularly in the early stages of the development cycle, because they are essentially a design company rather than a manufacturer. As critics have rightly pointed out, R&D expenses are rising. R&D is a relatively fixed expense for GPU development cycles, as opposed to hyperscaler expenditure, which is dynamic and presently near $1. Since their revenue has increased dramatically over the past 2 years, the percentage has drastically dropped. I see this as an opportunistic increase because, despite doubling its R&D investment, Nvidia's impact on bottom lines has reduced by half. In other words, they can now afford to spend more because of their higher income. Don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your input helps create a more knowledgeable community where we can all learn and grow together in the world of investing. Stay up to date with the latest market trends, insights, and key updates by subscribing to Investing Tutorial. We're here to help you make smarter investment decisions and stay ahead of the curve.
To think the best shot we have is Nvidia's earnings next week. I mean, they're at the epicenter of AI. Maybe they can kind of fill us in a little bit what's happening, because that's a microphone drop, for Amazon to say they're going to spend $200 billion and not tell shareholders what the return on investment is. So I think we're still reeling from earnings. You have all this geopolitical thing, you shake it all up and you get yourself that movie, The Perfect Storm, hit by 3 or 4 different sizes.
So as far as, some of this rotation that we've seen out of big tech, out of our Mag 7 that everyone has just written off as no longer magnificent, I do think that it's still definitely the biggest component, frankly, to the overall market is the Mag 7, but specifically Nvidia and their earnings next week, as you mentioned. And so what will have to go right to actually see a positive move that holds? Because I do feel like the biggest risk to Nvidia earnings as of late has been a more neutral or a more just tired, frankly, reaction. And that's, I think, where we're seeing this overall sentiment for these AI trades right now.
Right, and you hit it right on the head, Jenny. It's not about beating and guiding higher. I think all those companies did that. All Mag 7 did that, I think, maybe except for Tesla. It's the reaction to it. So even if Nvidia blows out the numbers, investors are still going to be kind of like, okay, what's going to happen next day? We had that Palantir growth, shot up in after hours and shot up the next day, and then 2 days later gave it all back. And I think that's going to be a big concern with Nvidia, because the playbook has been for the last couple of weeks watching earnings after earnings and good news get sold off. So I think investors are going to be bracing themselves. What they need, though, yeah, they need to really blow it out as far as the top line. They really need to blow it out as far as the net. And they need to kind of come around and let us feel reassured that the AI trade is still in the early innings, as the CEO continues to tell us that.
Okay, and broadly speaking, software does look like it's being repriced hard on a lot of these AI disruption fears. So how do you go about separating the complex ecosystem winners like, say, a Microsoft or a Salesforce from the more single product names?
Yeah, so we don't like Salesforce, we don't like Adobe, but we like Microsoft a lot. So basically you get all the different verticals with them, right? You get the cloud, you get gaming, you get AI through their Copilot. And again, we know this story. It's the sum of the parts greater than the whole. That doesn't really help right now. But I do think this is throw the baby out of the bathwater. And that last I looked, it is a software company with 1.1 billion devices. So yeah, margins may get eaten up a little bit with the chat GPTs and the Groks and the latest grades that are coming out. But again, this stock has really paid its price. It's been punished. It's still reeling. Again, we don't really have a stable ground here with tariffs going on and the, disappointing GDP number this morning and that type of stuff. But again, if you want to kind of look at semiconductors led quite a bit, we're seeing that we think software and got really thrown out, and I would stick really with the Microsofts.
Okay, and so switching away from tech here a bit, we know staples have led all year long. Big volatility has also remained in metals, and the Nasdaq is not outperforming the S&P 500, which is just frankly odd. So do you read this more as a risk-off signal or a liquidity story that could, of course, unwind rather quickly?
No, I think it's more of a risk-off. It's rotation is the way we look at it. Look, where we are right now with consumer staples and your Walmarts and McDonald's, Pepsi, they really can't lead for too long. I mean, some money managers have to stay fully invested, so they de-risk and go down the food chain of risk and find themselves in these names. But they're not really going to carry us too far. Top line growth 3, 4, 5%. Be nice to see that again, value then start going back towards growth, because that's where your leadership will be. That's when the market's more exciting, and that's when the Nasdaq will lead. But it's going to take some time. So I don't see money really leaving the market. I just see it rotating around to safer haven.